Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I had accidentally done something, and now there's a new video. All right, doesn't matter. Part two. We've done that before. Okay. Um, so we've talked about the IRS government website as a resource before. Here's just an example. We're going to go over trying to integrate these sorts of retirement tools into the ongoing conversations we have in the club. We're going to be going over today simple 401ks, just to give you guys an idea. Again, here's like their own website. I'll have all of this in the description of the video, all these different links. But just to give you guys like a taste of this sort of thing. So we'll just be going over some of the major sort of points about like, a simple 401k plan, right? All right. So two main parts of if your employer is offering this. First of all, I should actually say this. I want to give context to this. If they do this, that means that they're not going to be able to give you any other like retirement options, right? You're not going to be able to have like a 401k, like a normal one. Like it's this or nothing sort of thing. That's just a part of the simple 401k nature of it. Two parts that go into it is that a matching contribution up to 3% of each employee's pay, or a non-elected contribution of 2% of each employee's pay. So to describe and to define what's going on here, so a non-elective contribution means that the employer, this is something to keep in mind, keep your eye out for, is that if they say like we have a non-elective contribution, right? That means you don't have choice in it. 2% of your paycheck will automatically be going into this simple 401k plan. Now, I should also give you context for what is the nature of a 401k. We did this before, we did this last meeting, but I'll go ahead and go over it again. A 401k plan is going to be a bit like a traditional IRA, except it has a different contribution limit. So what does that mean? It means that you'll be able to contribute to your simple 401k or 401k plan, right, before you pay taxes. They're pre-tax dollars. Now, as it's been described to me at least, what that means is that you go ahead and pay your taxes, but what goes on is that you get a tax refund effectively, right? So you go ahead and pay your taxes, you contribute this, they give you a tax refund, specifically focusing on what money you put into this. That's kind of how that works. But in essence, though, it's before taxes, right? However, when you pull it out, though, you are taxed. We were talking about this before on in terms of a traditional IRA versus a Roth IRA. There's a $6,000 contribution limit between the two of these, right? So you do 3 and 3, 4 and 2, right? That sort of thing, right? Don't do it, given, right, you can contribute to these because you have the money for it. Don't do a traditional IRA. Chances are there's just very, very small chances that that's actually something that works for you, that like makes sense for your situation. Go with a Roth. Chances are. Reason why is because, first of all, because the contribution limit is very small, and also when you retire and you're taking out money, very large chunks of your money are going to be taken out of the money that you just are taking out of your retirement account, going with a traditional, right? Roth, there's no taxes at all applied when you take money out of your account. That's massive. That's a difference, big chunk of difference. So a simple 401k plan just has a few of these differences. Point being, though, is that you can have a 401k plan or a simple one with your employer at the same time a Roth IRA. That's what would be the ideal. There's just something else that you can also do, by the way, that you can put money into this and you can pay tax on it later, right, if you would like to. Now, why might this be meaningful is, I think, in particular, because if you're making like a lot of money now and you're skimming off the top, basically, that's basically how you can think of it, right? You're skimming off the top of the money that you make, and instead you're going to be pulling it out later on where you're not making nearly as much money, right? So, for example, let's say you're making, I'm kind of just putting numbers out here, but $100,000 a year. Right now, you're paying taxes on the very top of that money because it's bracketed. That's how our tax system works. About 30%. Fast forward a few decades, right? Let's say because of the money that you're making or whatever, right, that the money that you pull out then is only going to be taxed by 15% or something like that, right? You just halved your taxes. That's why it's meaningful, right? So analyze your situation. And ultimately, this is going to be about you and your situation, what you're doing, what your plans are. These are things to consider. This is stuff that is going to take time on your part to research and look into the years as they come. You don't have to know all of it out all at once. This is something to dip your toes into so you can become familiarized. I asked my dad a while ago, did they ever teach about Roth IRAs in school? And he said, no. What the fuck are you talking about? Why would they? Right? We're not taught this stuff. That's what this club is about. We're giving you something here as a collective and community that by and large we all wish we had growing up. So there are a couple points about this, and again, you can look through this. I mean, this is stuff for like the employers who don't worry so much about this, but we'll go through the pros and cons really quickly. Plan is not subject to non-discrimination rules that apply to the normal 401ks. What is non-discrimination? What's that about? So what that means is, as I've looked into it, what that is based about is that the 401k plans, as they normally are, is the IRS will regulate them to make sure that it's not like the top earners of your company are benefiting the most from this. That's basically it in a nutshell. Just something to say. Employees are fully vested in all contributions. What the hell does that mean? It means that all the money that's in that account is yours. Your employer doesn't own it. Your family doesn't own it. It's you. You own it. Straightforward benefit formula allows for easy administration. Okay. Optional participant loans and hardship withdrawals add flexibility for employees. So their hardship withdrawals to say that like you're going through a rough time, you need to pull out early, that sort of thing. The penalty won't be as great versus a normal 401k plan. You take out loans against the money that's in there, you need it, that sort of thing. There's details in that. It'll vary. You can do research on this. Just something to dip your toes into. No other retirement plans can be maintained. That's kind of a point. For your employer, for like you in that company, just something to keep in mind, that sort of thing. And yeah, okay. That's more or less it. Here's contribution limits. They got 14K. The normal 401k is like 22 or something like that. Your employer will take care of that, 5550 every single year, 5500 I should say. Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Let me go over this one. These are 10 questions, or actually I should say, this is not that article. You can look through this. Here's just really quickly here, 4 mistakes to avoid in, again, trying to negotiate your salary for any job, okay? You break the silence too soon. Silence is a negotiation tool. This is going over some elements of psychology, right? Sometimes it's powerful to utilize silence to show that you are comfortable in where you are. You ask for a salary that reflects your lifestyle, not facts. Think about that, right? You accept a low salary without negotiating. That's pretty straightforward. You are an uncreative negotiator, right? What that might be entailing is that you don't know what to ask for, you don't know how to ask for it, and you don't even know what chips are on the table. Start researching. Start figuring out things. Do research online. Ask your parents, ask your family. Ask those around you. Go on YouTube, hell, right? You have all of human knowledge in the internet right there before you, the touch of your fingers, right? So think about stuff. All right, here's 10 questions. Here. So what is the work culture here? Cool. What skills are needed to be considered a good new hire? Why did you join the team? That's you asking the person who's hiring you. Why did you join? What are you about? Right? All these questions, right? They're asking about what sort of connections can I make? How relatable can I be? Right? If you're trying to get a job here, if you're trying to make sure you look good, to show interest, like what is the work culture here, right? Most people are probably just going to ask, hey, what's the pay? What can I expect? Right? How soon can I ask for a raise? They may very well look at you and say, you may know what you're doing, maybe you're good at your job, but you don't really seem to be invested in this company. Right? When you're asking questions like this, what is the work culture? It shows that you are different, you stand out. You are actually interested in what you are looking at, not just simply the money, right? Who are you going to be surrounding yourself with? Those sorts of things. What will be the most significant challenge I'll face in this job role? What does success look like after 6 months? That's you asking the employer telling you, this is what success looks in my eyes. That makes you stand out. Can I get business cards on day 1? Yeah, damn right I want a rep. Come on. How did your company handle COVID-19? What does your company do to ensure team camaraderie, remote hybrid models, right? So what are they doing to make sure that the company culture, right, actively, what are they doing actively to maintain that it's in a healthy, good, harmonious place, right? Again, COVID-19, we just had a massive outbreak. If something goes wrong, right, they got asbestos in the fucking building, right? How are they going to handle that? What's likely? Do they say, nah, not really a whole lot? Or do they go over and above to make sure that their employees are safe? These are really important fucking questions, right? Because it's not just like, or the health, breakout happens, right? Some bullshit like that, right? It's also about what are the kind of people who are hiring you? Do they actually care about you? Do they want to make sure that you're safe? Those are really important questions. How long will my pre-boarding activities last, right? How long is the training? Are there any standout mentorship programs or company culture activities? Just to at least be aware. Why not? And that's basically it. All right, we're now going to go ahead and watch a video.
Excuse me, are you a coffee addict?
Holy shit. There's a mushroom on his head. Why?
In your life, where you are absolutely going to want your confidence and your charisma to be on point is when you are sitting in an interview chair. Because when you've arrived there, they've decided that you have what it takes to get this job, but you still have to show the person across from you that you're someone that they like, that they could work with, and that you can communicate the skills that make you a good fit. Which is why in this video, I want to show you exactly how to prep for and crush any interview. And that includes answering specific questions like, tell me about yourself, what's your greatest weakness, and tell me about a time when fill in the blank. So we're going to jump right into it. I got a lot to say. The first piece is on mindsets. The number one thing that screws people up when they get in interviews, besides having not prepped and you're here, so congratulations for that, is that they just get tongue-tied. Their confidence is gone because they're putting so much pressure on the situation. And in order to alleviate this, what I recommend you do and that they do is to zoom out. Imagine yourself at 90 years old. You're looking back at your life. You see the successes, the failures, the happy moments, the sad ones. And I promise you.
Hi everyone, Matt Willard here, VP of Capital Markets at Phoenix Capital Group, coming to you today with an exciting longer-term.
As you do that and you scan for the most pivotal moments in your life that were hypercritical, you will not see the interview that you have coming up. There's no chance. It's just not going to crack something that absolutely changes the inevitable course of your life. There will be setbacks, jobs you don't get, jobs you do, but this isn't one of the top 10 most important moments of your life, and things won't end if you don't get this job. Now, I tell you that just so you can relax a little bit, so that your confidence can come out when you're actually sitting in that chair and you realize, I would like this job, it's important to me, but the world won't end if I don't get it. Got it? Cool. The second piece is, now we're going to try to crush it. With that understood, we still want to do the best job that we can and put our best foot forward. So we need to prep to answer these questions that they're probably going to ask in the most interesting, engaging, fascinating way that shows them you're someone that can handle the job. But there's a zillion questions they could ask. So how do you handle all of that complexity? What I recommend doing is this. This is going to be a framework that will enable you to answer any question. Start by going through your professional career and write down the 10 or so most pivotal, interesting moments. And if you're a student, this might be just going through your teens up and through college, the moments that made you interested in the industry that you're going into, or some of the times where you demonstrated leadership. Once you've got those, next to each thing, write a couple of adjectives that might be relevant to the position that you're in. So what does this show about you? So if you are that student and you had a lemonade stand, for instance, when you were little, and you're going for a sales position, you might write that this shows that you are eager to sell, comfortable with selling, always had this sort of entrepreneurial spirit. But there might be some things that went wrong in each of these as well, which means include some of the adjectives that, if you wanted to tell the story this way, would highlight perhaps negative aspects of your character. So maybe you were disorganized in handling the money, and you hired a bunch of friends, you didn't know who had earned what, and they all revolted and the business shut down, right? So that's the time where you could highlight, I'm disorganized, if you choose to. When you're done with this, what you will have is a series of 10 or so things that have adjectives next to them. What I want you to do now is go through and pick the 3 to 5 most interesting ones, particularly the ones that have adjectives that are going to show that you are a good fit for this job, and that have negative adjectives that show that you are self-aware, but that you're working on those aspects. So if you're disorganized, you found ways to compensate for that. Once you've got those 3 to 5 things, these are going to be what you are driving towards in the interview, and we're going to turn these into stories. Now, I want to pause for a second. We're in an interview. A lot of people presume that what the most important thing you can do is just tell them why you're qualified. That's your resume. They already have that. They're looking to connect with you, right? I just talked to someone who was a partner at Deloitte who has done tons of interviewing, and he said, by the time they get to me, I'm just looking to see if I like them and if I can work with them, because I know that they have the chops. So this is why stories become so important. If you can tell these in an engaging way, that's going to make them like you. So write down for these 3 to 5 things: the setting, the problem, the solution, and then the result. So I'm going to give you, we're going to go to that lemonade stand one, but you can use this for any project or whatever it is that you are on. In fact, I'm going to actually take a real one that I used for my first job, which is I started the ballroom dance club at my college. Wow.
Nice little pause, take a breather.
Right? So the setting is that I went abroad and I was interested in salsa dancing and wanted to come back and do more salsa dancing in the United States. The problem was that I went out to find this club and there was no salsa dancing club. I went to start the club and I couldn't get the funds together or the amount of people interested in order to do it, right? So we got a little bit of drama here. The solution is that while I was researching this and sitting in on meetings or how to start clubs, I heard that there was another student that was interested in ballroom dancing that had more students interested in it and that had a little bit more funding. So I was able to partner up with him. We worked together to find an instructor that would give us a discounted rate in exchange for being able to advertise when he came to our meetings, and we set up these lessons once a week. And the result was that we had, 30 to 50 students come out for ballroom dancing where they learned all these different things. This instructor did very well, and it was a fun time, right? That's it. You're doing this for every single story. What this enables you to do is to, for the question, here we are, tell me about yourself, these are going to be like skipping rocks, right? If you've got a group of interesting things, you can start talking about yourself, and you can just touch momentarily on interesting things about yourself, right? If they want to go deeper, the good news is that you can dive into any one of these in a story mode that's got a little bit of drama and that is going to show, because we prepped this, these interesting things about yourself. So my ballroom dancing story might show that I can solve problems. It might show that I know how to work with other people and lead them and that I can think outside the box. Now that we've got this, we can answer just about any question. You want to talk about your weaknesses? Boom. Go to a story that's got a weakness, talk about it, but the result is going to be something where you find a way to work around it. Same thing with strengths, same thing with a time that you might have struggled to get something done. You've got a story prepped for that. This kind of background is going to prep you to get to the interview. So do this, and now we're going to talk about interview day. On interview day, put everything that I just talked about away, right? An hour before the interview, I don't want you thinking or doing any of this. I want you getting into a good mood. The worst thing that you can do is still be preparing your DCF analysis as you're walking into your investment banking interview, thinking about what am I going to do, and ignoring the receptionist, ignoring the secretary, ignoring the other people who are there in the waiting room. What you don't realize is that in an interview context, it starts as soon as you enter the building. I've seen this multiple times where the interviewer comes out, all the interviewees are gone, and they walk up to the secretary and say, "What'd you think?" And they'll tell them, "Oh, that guy was weird, this guy was cool, I really like this girl." Whatever it is, you need to make sure that you are being personable in that moment. Now, we have an entire channel on this, but if you're interested in the best material that I have, we have a course on first impressions. And I'm going to put that in the description below. It's how to make an amazing first impression on anyone. I've talked about it previously, but quite frankly, I think it's perfect for an interview scenario, not to mention the rest of your life. So I'm not going to harp too much on this. Just know the interview starts immediately. When you do get called into the interview room and you shake hands, you look the person in the eye, you give them a big smile, you sit down, what I want you to do is to open up your body language. So you're not going to sit like this, you're going to sit like this, and you might even turn your wrists out a little bit. Take a deep breath, slow things down, and then when they ask you questions, drive them towards the stories that you have prepared that highlight these things about yourself, because that's going to communicate the organic, interesting things about you without saying, I'm a really hardworking person who knows how to get the job done, is a creative problem solver. That tells me nothing. But when you tell me the story about the time that you had this project and somebody got in the way and you were able to work with them in order to create a more interesting solution, now I know those things implicitly and I believe them, more importantly. So that's why you want this process to be kind of a storytelling mode. And I recommend one of the things, just this is a little thing, at the end of Tell Me About Yourself, I always threw in something that I thought was personally interesting to me that they might like. So if it was a guy, I might talk about an interest in MMA. If it was a woman who I got the sense might be into dancing, I'll mention the ballroom dancing club. I would throw in one little personal thing that would give us a chance to connect outside of the purely professional. Sometimes they didn't pick up on it, I was wrong. But sometimes that drove the course of the interview, and it's like what they referred back to throughout the rest of the interview, so that can be helpful. Interview goes, you answer your questions, you do your technicals, you get to the end, they say, do you have any questions? There's a ton of fantastic questions you can ask, but I recently did a video on 5 phrases or 6 phrases that are incredibly persuasive, and by far the one that people liked the most was this, for the interview scenario. My dad actually used it when he was out searching for a new job and he got this job. So, the question is this. You say, all right, so let's assume that things went really well today and I do wind up getting this position. A year from now, what will I have to have done so that you look back and go, that was an awesome decision and this person was a fantastic analyst? And the reason that this question is so good is because it forces them to think about A, hiring you, and B, having that been a brilliant decision. Not to mention that you're asking for the metrics, because this is a great question generally, how will I know that I've done a good job? So they have to sit there and think about you doing a great job in this position, them thinking about it a year from now, and most employers love this question and it makes them like you a ton. Generally speaking, any question that you are genuinely interested in that gets them associating you with positive feelings is going to work fantastically here. This is just one. So that is it. I highly, highly recommend, if you are still wanting more, that you check out our course on making an amazing first impression. I believe it is truly fantastic for life. But quite frankly, in an interview process, you've got like 3 or 4 first impressions that you're making right away that are critical to your job success. So if you want to see that, click the link.
All right. And then just 2 more things that I wanted to shout out. Cal Poly Humboldt offers job interview preparedness skill workshops. That's in the library. Check them out. That happens occasionally. And one last thing. Here's a phrase for you. At or near the end of an interview, after hiring me or someone else, how will you know that you made the right choice? It's an interesting question. Makes it stand out. All right. That is it for the meeting.
Before everybody goes,
Okay,
I
yeah.
wanted to bring something up real quick, especially in relation to this.
Yeah.
Basically, at the beginning of every month, the Arcata Chamber of Commerce holds what they call mixer meetings, and basically business owners and county workers and just a lot of like important people in the area go to these meetings every single month, and just to go to basically communicate with people and network. The entrepreneurship club here goes to these meetings once a month, and the club actually pays for the students to go to these meetings. And there is a way that I could set up this club to do the same thing for us. If anybody here felt really interested in wanting to go to one of these Chamber of Commerce meetings, we could set up this club to get you in for free. However, I would think that it would probably be if like a lot of you guys wanted to do this, then we could set it up. Otherwise, you could also simply affiliate yourself with the entrepreneurship club and you can get into there for free. But for anybody here that's not a part of that club, if they do want to possibly talk about this, let me know. Is anybody possibly interested in that as well?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the
All right.
I think it'll be beneficial for the club.
I think